nurturing new voices is essential, because as a performing arts organization, what we put on stage is not only beautiful, but it also should be advancing how we understand and process the world around us.
Simply the position of choreographer-in-residence, I think, is important for a company to have, as it allows both choreographer who is in residence and dancers to learn about each other. And it opens a new opportunities. When you meet for the first time in studio, you might get surprised and get inspired by a dancer or a theme of choreographer or their personality that can take new turn and take the creation somewhere where nobody expects, which is great. At the same time, when the choreographer already knows dancers and dancers know what the choreographer does, there might be a plan that can extend much further, because the steps that they can be taking together, knowing each other and being in comfort zone with each other, they can achieve so much height in their creation that you would not be able to do it when you just meet for the first time. And I think having Claudia Schreier being choreographer-in-residence with Atlanta Ballet for already a fourth season did do that kind of beneficial aspect to those work, because we were able to be much more efficient, and it allows her to be more creative choreographer. She can step outside of her comfort zone and go further because she trusts the dancers. She knows that they can do that, and they help her to go further. So it is a big development for both organization, because we receive the product that is much more advanced. Sorry for such technological terms. We're talking about art, but in reality, that's what it is. It allows a bigger and larger flow of creative.
I think for me, for creating Carnival, there's a bit of musical architecture that we use as our basis, which then becomes our playground for crafting these steps. And so there is syncopation and punctuation and these very quick legato sections that are then cut off immediately by another staccato section. And for me, it's a physical reaction that then becomes so playful and so interactive.
She definitely wanted us to feel, comfortable first, and she knew us very well, that all our strengths and weaknesses so well that it really matched her choreography. Like, each person had their own interpretation of what her choreography was.
And I can even tell just kind of throughout the process of Carnival, it was very playful, very joyous, very goofy, kind of all those things, a party. It was, just a really good time. But I could even see when Claudia was choreographing the work, and, she might be a little specific on what she might want for the arm, but then I could see her as she's watching the dancer, maybe even off to the side, kind of just play with it, do a little. She sees the personality, and then she kind of just she lets it trickle into the piece without necessarily telling the person to oh, what you did when you were on the side, do that. Sometimes she'll say that, but she kind of just lets us put our own little flair to things, which is what I think kind of helped bring Carnival to life.
Presenting new choreographers' work and really nurturing new talent is some of the hardest work that the ballet has to do, and some of the most important. When we think about the future of ballet and we think about the past of ballet, this is a 400-plus-year-old art form that came out of the courts of Europe and of Russia. we live in a very different world. And much of the canon of the great ballet works that people think about when they think they're going to the ballet, new choreographic voices do that. When we look at presenting dancers in our own company who are developing their voices, they are moving the field forward. They are young dancers who are living in a different world than those masters of the art form were. And their works are going to be more relevant to audiences today in many ways. They're going to be speaking directly to their generation, and finding that generation is really going to be essential to the future of this art form. If we don't continually find new ways to be relevant to audiences of a wide range, young to old, we will cease to be relevant. This will cease to be a relevant art form.
For me, bringing the costume and set design and the choreography together, like seeing it as a whole, feels very organic to me, because like when I do my sculpture works, creating a ballet, creating choreography, creating set in space, color, composition, all these things, it's like building a sculpture. You know, it's all about balancing the clay, balancing the structure. Just like dancers, balancing the structure of a lift and a shape, and people come on from here and there's movement, and it's all a big sculpture. So even the aesthetic of the stage, in my opinion, I'm seeing it as a moving painting, as a sculpture, as a one cohesive work of art.
Each choreographer is different, and they want different types of support. I like to be very curious with the choreographer. You know, I lead with curiosity. I want to know what's important to them, what they're trying to say, what they're trying to get across. And so then I can help the dancers do the same. What are you trying to get across here? A nice thing to do for a choreographer is to know how many eights they have left. So if you have the score of the music, or if you've written out the counts of the music and you say, you have 3 eighths left, just so you know. Because they might have more to say, or they might have less to say, and you just kind of help them with that. And then it's really important to me that a choreographer's steps be as they're meant to be. So they're not being skewed into another style, because choreography is about creating your own style and giving it, you know, most of the time. So I'm really checking the dancers to see if they understood the style, and asking the choreographer what is so important about this step that you can't lose, these sort of things, just to make sure it's really the message, and it's really the choreography from the choreographer.
Remi, who's the choreographer, had come to us with these designs, which were really fun. He had very specific colors in mind for the show. So I started playing around with different ways to achieve what he wanted, which were these very crisp and strong colors and very sharp lines. And he wanted those on a silk, and I personally like to use dye over paint, because paint over time can crack, and it also affects the movement of the fabric. Dye, once you rinse it out, it should just move like fabric, which is always our goal. So in this case, we ended up going with a dye technique.
What excites me about future? I think just embracing our traditions and basing on that, moving forward and creating new works. The most exciting time for artists is being in a creative mode. And would it be in the studio, or would it be in a preparatory period? Those are the moments where things are being born, and I think we're not stagnant. We're moving forward art form, and that's the future of Atlanta Ballet.
made in Georgia.